Welcome to another talk. The title of the class, How do you measure your life? Sixth perfection, patience. Patience or being farsighted. No stories today, so sorry. We will have only questions. All right. There are countless beings in the world, plenty of people in the world who've got it all. Good education, intelligence, great jobs, great families, beautiful home, money in the bank, lots and lots. And yet, these well-scrubbed folks with their fancy clothes are unable to experience the joy and the magnificence that dwells in them, regardless of everything out there that they've got. Yeah? So what decides this tragic fate for these poor beings, countless beings? Success on the outside, but the hollowness on the inside. What decides this fate for these poor beings? Do tell. Faulty worldview. Faulty worldview. That's what decides their fate. Tragic fate. Then there are those other beings, those few beings on the planet, whose worldview is crystal clear. And therefore they're in touch with the magnificence and the joy and the laughter that is their birthright. Even though on the outside they may live a very simple life, on the inside they are billionaires. To be in their presence is a blessing in itself. The sparkling eyes, the glowing complexion, the joy that they exude with every pore of their being is just enthralling to be in their presence. I've been fortunate to have met quite a number of these supersonic beings. Yes. When I did that EST seminar in January 1980, which transformed my life in amazing ways, there were these 500 participants in this large hall in a fancy hotel, all suffering, me included. And to deal with these 500 people, we were divided into 5 sections, 100 beings each. And there were 5 trainers dealing with each group. And I was incredibly fortunate to have got the best fellow on my side. Robert Browning, still remember his name. Blonde hair, blue eyes, radiant, tall, well-built, just beautiful to look at, and even more beautiful to feel his presence. And I said to myself, when I would see him, how he dealt with the people, one day I would like to be like him. Wow, amazing, fantastic. And I maybe have become a little bit like him. Then, while I was in the US, during summer holidays, I would go to different seminars or workshops to know more about myself. And there was this one seminar I attended by an American lady belonging to an Indian sect called the Brahma Kumaris. They have their headquarters in Rajasthan, Mount Abu. Again, blonde hair, blue eyes, wearing this white sari, Indian dress. And I was in the front row, and I was absolutely mesmerized by her. I don't remember a word she said, not a word. I remember her. She was literally shining like she was made of glass. Ah, brilliant being as she spoke, the way she flowed. I just sat there totally captivated. And when the seminar ended, I wanted to go up and tell her how much I appreciated her. Maybe not what she said, but what she was. But I didn't have the courage to do so. But she also tattooed in cellular memory, like Robert Browning. Brilliant manifestation of divinity. And then the various spiritual teachers I've come across, those I've trained with, and those I've just come across and got to know briefly, they too shining, but not as much as this lady was. She topped the charts. And then I'm also blessed with another special being, my assistant, Madam Sherry, who has been my dearest friend for over 30 years, assisting me in my work. The qualities she embodies, magnificent. Almost everyone who knows her falls in love with her. She, embodiment of compassion, kindness, gentleness. Thank you, Lord. There are these beings on the planet. And if we are fortunate enough to come in their presence, we just need to thank the Lord 1,000 million times. Okay. To enter the ranks of these luminaries, these shining, radiant beings, to be like them, glow in our presence because we're in touch with our divinity, we need to embark upon the flagship enterprise. How many of you are Star Trek enthusiasts? Star Trek? Yeah. It's a flagship enterprise. Get on board. Because the flagship enterprise is piloted by the wise. Best not to get on that other ship there called the Titanic, because we know where that's heading. Into the vast deep. Don't want to be on the Titanic. Okay. So to experience the quality of life we all desire, to experience this joy, regardless of our outer reality, whether we're rich or we're not so rich, that's not the issue. The issue is that there dwells within us something incredibly profound. And to get in touch with that which is incredibly profound, we need to stay clear of conventional values. Clear, because these conventional values place us squarely in the rat race. Yeah, so rat race. And what is your definition of a rat race? Come on. It is the fierce, competitive, self-defeating way of life that prevents us from perceiving the true measure of this precious human rebirth. It's an exhausting, repetitive way of living that is not serving us. The rat race. Think of those laboratory rats placed in a maze, running here, there, everywhere. Change direction, maze, no straight. Yeah, running for that cheese. That's the rat race. Look on any weekday in the city or anywhere, and you'll see people rushing to work, stressed behind the wheel, maybe, or in the trains, or in the buses, stressed day in and day out, going to a workplace most of them don't enjoy being in. Rat race. They get the perks, they get the money, they get whatever they want on the outside, but they remain empty on the inside. It's that fierce, competitive struggle to get ahead in the world at the expense of our health and well-being. That's the rat race. Throw away the health, throw away the well-being, but let's grab some money and the pleasures which do really nothing for us in terms of our experiencing the divinity that flows in and around us at all times. What a wasted life. Once again, to enter the ranks of the luminaries, those few beings who really understand the measure of their life, the true measure of what it means to be reborn as a human being and not as a little cockroach. Yeah? We need to get on that flagship called Enterprise that's piloted by the wise, steering us away from the rat race. Don't get on the Titanic. It is going not where you want to be. The vast deep. Clear? Right. Thousands of self-help books. Thousands upon thousands of self-help books have been written telling people, hey guys, you can get off the rat race. You can leap off. And here's how. Yeah. How to be happy. How to be successful. How to make big bucks. How to do whatever. Thousands of self-help books on the planet. They do not reveal The most essential secret for us to practice or to apply what they're telling us to do. And what is that most essential secret? Which is not being mentioned. Not mentioned. The secret is, although we alone can do it, we cannot do it alone. Once again, simple secret. Although we alone can do it, nobody else can walk the path for us. We cannot do it alone. We always require the assistance from someone who sees life a little better than we do to help us to apply these rules of training that allow us to step out of the rat race. We need help. No can do with Lone Ranger mentality. Round and around the merry-go-round. Okay. Now, because this is such an incredibly important secret, which is not being revealed, the good Lord, the Buddha, revealed it to us because he really cared about our well-being. And so he told us, hey guys, you want to wake up? You want to be free from all that misery? Then you have to take refuge in the triple gem. Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. Not double gem. Not Buddha and Dhamma. Triple gem. Sangha. The Buddha represents the qualities we need to perfect, which we're talking about. Yeah? The Buddha represents the qualities we need to perfect to wake up. The Dhamma represents the right worldview. But without the teacher, no can do. Triple gem, not the double gem. So the Sangha is not only related to like-minded people, the students, striving towards awakening, but also the fellow piloting the flagship teacher. Because otherwise, without the teacher, we have the blind following the blind. And all of them ending up in the ditch. Yes. Thousands upon thousands of self-help books. How many have you read that tell you this essential secret? That although you alone can do it, you cannot do it alone. How many have you read that tell you this secret? Me? Maybe a couple. Okay, all right. To step out of the herd mentality. To step out of the herd mentality that believes in the rat race, because they believe that's where happiness is, we need an ocean of patience. Yes, the content of this class. Ocean of patience. So, what is your definition of patience? What is it? We use the word very often. What exactly is the patience? It is a skill or a virtue, essential skill or virtue that allows us to remain calm and composed when facing delays, adversity, or situations that demand waiting. Yes, waiting for indefinite periods of time, not waiting according to our misguided expectations. Oh, I've waited for 5 minutes. Maybe it takes 5 weeks before you'll get what you want. All right? Patience. The skill or the ability to remain calm and cool and collected when facing delays, adversity, challenges, or when facing situations that demand waiting for indefinite periods of time. And how do we cultivate this patience? How do we remain centered in our power, regardless of what's going on around us? How do we remain centered? First and foremost, we require to purge ourselves of our faulty worldview and equally defective habits. We need to let go of these frequencies that are not serving us and to replace them with what is true and of timeless value. You got that? How do we practice good patience? Let go of false imaginings. Let go of debilitating habits. And cultivate a worldview that is in alignment with how life is. Cultivate habits that promote your well-being, not that deplete it. No, not good. Patience is an extremely valuable skill, enormously valuable skill with far-reaching benefits or advantages. Far-reaching. And yet, people are not practicing patience. In the traffic jam. Getting flustered in the long lines. No patience, suffering. Once again, patience is an extremely valuable skill or virtue we need to cultivate because it has enormous, far-reaching advantages and benefits. What are they? Please tell. Come along. You want a spoon feeding? Think. It improves our health. Instead of getting flustered all the time, remain calm instead of churning up biochemical storms in the body with impatience. It destroys us. It improves our health, first of all. It improves our relationships. Patience. Yes, your partner, please realize, is not perfect, and neither are you. Yes, your partner has certain idiosyncrasies, certain weird frequencies, which you also have. And so we need to be a little patient because they're not perfect, and nor are we. Patience, acceptance, kindness, compassion, important. Wanting this person to be perfect when we are a little bit wonky ourselves is a faulty worldview. Improves our relationships. And then our choice making faculty, which is usually severely impaired because of our impulsiveness. Choosing this, choosing that, not seeing the long term consequences of our actions or our choices. It improves our choice making faculty. Yes, when we're calm, when we're patient, we see things a little bit better and we can make better informed choices that yield a harvest called happiness, not the suffering. Yeah. Improves our choice making faculty, which is so incredibly important because remember, choice making implies karma, and karma implies consequence. You want wholesome karma, wholesome consequences. Unwholesome karma, wholesome consequences, no can suffering. Choice making faculty, so important. The choice of our marital partner, the choice of our career, the choice of our lifestyle, getting off the wheel of the rat race, treadmill. Choice making faculty improves significantly, if not exponentially, depending on the level of patience that we cultivate. Clear? Okay. And then, far reaching, what I've spoken of in the other classes. It helps us because we are patient. It helps us to build a solid foundation in the skill sets we require, the know how we need for worldly as well as spiritual flourishing. Think of someone who builds a house on a faulty foundation, shaky foundation. What will happen? Rebirth early. Go to sleep. House collapses in the first storm. Rebirth. We need a solid foundation. And solid foundations cannot be hurried. They have to proceed in alignment with natural laws and principles. No rushing about. It helps us to build an unshakable, supersonic foundation in the skill sets we require for achieving our deepest desires. Not for Netflix, not for shopping sprees. That is not deepest desires. Okay. Every spiritual tradition worldwide, around the world, every spiritual tradition encourages us to cultivate patience. Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Taoist philosophy, every spiritual tradition around the world talks about the patience because it is as important for our well-being as vitamin D is important for our well-being or body. As important, as indispensable. Do you know what happens when the body lacks vitamin D? No vitamin D or very little vitamin D. What happens? Rickets. Do you know the illness? It's a terrible illness. Rickets. Which means it stunts our growth, makes you bow-legged, bones, not strong. Yeah, it ruins our physical health and also then our emotional and psychological. Rickets. The exact same thing happens in the absence of patience. Because in the absence of patience, we also stunt our growth. How? Stress, fear, worries, anxiety, resentment, no patience, worry, anxious. It stunts our growth. How can we be happy when our mind is engulfed in these negative mind states? How can we possibly tap into the incredible resources we are born with when our attention is misplaced? How? So in the absence of patience comes impatience. Yes, just streams right in. No firewall. And it's the impatience that creates these negative mind states that impair our well-being. Stress and resentment and worries and anxiety, impatience. So what exactly is impatience? Another term we use, like patience, but are we clear what we're saying? Impatience. Impatience arises, it is born and bred in a mind that is spiritually misinformed. Impatience. Born and bred in a mind that is spiritually clueless. And because it is spiritually clueless, unable to see, unable to accept certain facts of life, especially the fact that the best things in life are always slow in rising. They need a solid foundation. Hurry, not good. The best, the most significant achievements always take time. It's a slow process. It is also an unpredictable process. You don't know what's happening next. You have to embrace uncertainty instead of fearing it, instead of resenting it. We have to step into the unknown. Take those wise risks and step into the unknown. It's unpredictable. You just have to trust. And third point, to achieve anything of significance, never, ever, ever, never, never a linear process. Never. Then you get to where you want to be. It's never a linear process. It requires so many other things to fall into place from different sources before we achieve the desired outcome. And all this requires patience, buddy. All this requires patience, an ocean of it. Here's an example from my life. Okay. I give you these examples from my life not to blow my trumpet. Please, please, not at all. I give you these examples from my life as proof that the teachings work. I'm not talking theory. I'm talking practical proof that the teachings work when you work the teachings. Okay? Because of several lifetimes, maybe a few million lifetimes, several, of dedicated practice, in this rebirth, I came with that skill set already honed into this rebirth. And the memory of all that I had practiced in the past was sparked when I touched 13. 1968, Lagos, Nigeria. I started reading books on self-help. Yes, they were not telling me where to look for teachers. To discover my strengths and my weaknesses, to flow through life with power and grace. I had this passion to know myself and the world around me and the people and how they thought. I was just fascinated with the workings of the mind. That took me across to the US, not to any other country, to the US. And not just the US, to Los Angeles. That story is another story that's just supersonically profound. But I won't go into that right now. Los Angeles, where my college was. There I met Robert Browning in 1980, January. That trainer, that radiant, radiant being who inspired me to change my life direction. From the US, 5 years there, came back to India. Not a linear process. Watch. Studied with teachers here in India. In 86, I left for Thailand, Sri Lanka, and Japan in that sequence. Look at the route. From Japan, came back in 86 December, back to India. In 1987, I was back in the mountains. And in that place, in the mountains, again, there's stories there, fascinating stuff. I realized in 87 that I was pregnant. Pregnant! Yes, Master B was pregnant. I felt something percolating within me. I couldn't put my finger on it. Something was happening. And then in 1988, May, in that cottage way out in the mountains, I gave birth. That's roughly 20 years of deep practice. No impatience. Roughly 20 years unwavering practice in unpredictable zones. Yeah? Slow process, unpredictable, and not linear. From India to the US to this, to this, to this, to this, boom. Yeah? May 1988, Master B disappeared. Where's Master B? Not there. 1989, I started teaching. In 1992, I became an international meditation teacher. I was authorized to I was invited to teach in other countries. And the ball keeps rolling. Are you understanding, please? Patience. There was no hurry in my practice. When will I wake up? I need an insight. Nope. I wasn't even thinking about waking up. I wasn't even thinking about insights. I was just being in the here and now, doing what I needed to be doing. And the insights and the awakening came when they had to come. And plenty of it. Far-sighted, being patient. Are you understanding, please? Right? What are the tragic consequences of succumbing to impatience? What? Depletes our health, destroys relationships, continues to impair our choice-making faculty, bumbling and stumbling through life. And there can be no solid foundation for experiencing the quality of life we desire and deserve. Tragic consequences of getting mesmerized by impatience. Health goes down the drain, relationships go down the wherever. Not skillful. All because we continue to subscribe to a faulty worldview from which faulty perceptions, faulty belief patterns, faulty narratives arise like mushrooms in the forest. Here's an example, or some examples. Master B, I can never be happy in this world. I've tried, I can never do it. The love I want is unachievable. The health I want, I cannot do. Something's wrong with me. Yeah, all these negative narratives, negative perceptions, faulty self-image. coming from a faulty worldview. That is why true patience, not the wishy-washy type, true patience is always attuned to, aligned with, attuned to intuition. True patience is always attuned or aligned with intuition. Farsighted. Farsighted in knowing that it is only when we are fully committed to our aspirations, whatever those aspirations may be, whether worldly or spiritual. Only when we are fully committed to achieving what we set out to do, that the universe itself comes to our aid. It levels this playing field in our favor and aids us in amazing ways to achieve our objectives. That's intuition. Farsighted. Patience. Once again, true patience is aligned with intuition. It's aligned with that deep knowing in us that only when, only, ONLY, only when we are fully, not wishy-washy, fully committed to whatever we set out to do, that the universe itself comes to our aid. It backs us. It wants us to succeed. It levels the playing field in our favor, regardless of the odds, and allows us. It lends us its power to achieve whatever we set our mind upon when we're fully committed. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where does second wind come from? Second wind, maybe third, fourth, and fifth wind. What's it about, second wind? Second wind is not just experienced in endurance sports, such as marathon running. Yeah? It's not just achieved by athletes. It's achieved by anyone who pushes beyond their perceived limits. When they hit the wall, it's called hitting the wall. And go beyond, that's when the universe kicks in and you get second wind. That's when the second wind arises for us to achieve what we set out to achieve in an effortless manner, because we've entered the zone. But we have to push beyond our perceived, self-imposed limitations. No stopping when you hit the wall. Going right through. Go through, and you wonder where that energy came from for you to achieve what you want to achieve effortlessly, because you're in the zone. You're in flow with life, and it carries you to levels of excellence you cannot imagine if you just stay the course and do not give up. 20 years of practice. Stayed the course. I'm still on the course. I have not deviated from my calling. I'm still on the course at 69. From the age of 13 to the age of 69, still on course. No change in direction, Bobs. Are you understanding, please? Second wind. That resource is within us. But most people are not committed. Why? Self-imposed limitations that they believe in to be gospel truth. Drop it. Wiki wiki. Without such patience, that is far-sighted, we get engulfed. We get engulfed in a negative chain reaction that consists of 3 links. Negative chain reaction when no patience have. 3 links: frustration, anger, and despair. Absence of patience, this reality is born. Now, even the negative emotions that we experience, please understand, you don't need to suppress them. No suppressing. No. They have their place. They have their place. Frustration has its place. Anger has its place. Despair has its place. I was under despair, and yet I found my path. Yeah. Every emotion has its place. The only thing is, when we make a habit of dwelling in these negative states, when it becomes a recurring pattern for us, every time life does not meet our preferences and we nosedive into negative states, that's when it becomes a problem. Negative states in themselves are not a problem. It's marinating in them. That's the problem. Are you understanding? No marinating in that. Not good. So please tell me, where does patience come from? I mean, where does frustration come from? I am frustrated. Okay, let's look at the 3 links. Frustration. Where? Coming from where? Many of us believe that frustration comes from, I feel frustrated when I'm facing a complication, a delay, a setback, an obstacle, some unpleasant reality that just will not change for the better, regardless of my efforts. It just stays steady. That's where the frustration comes from. Yeah, that's what we believe. Here is an unwelcome reality that you're not very happy with. And you are doing your best to get it out of your way. But it refuses to budge. And therefore, Master B, that's what makes me impatient and frustrated. But my darling, these things happen in the course of our life. It is not this reality that's causing your frustration, sweetheart. But then what is causing it? My darling, It is your habit of perceiving unwelcome realities from a negative stance, negative perspective. That's the problem, not the situation, but the way you are approaching and responding to it. That's the problem. Wake up. Are you understanding? It's our habit of perceiving an unpleasant or unwanted, unwelcome reality from a negative stance. That's what frustrates us, not the reality itself. So then what's the option? We need to perceive whatever the good Lord sends us. And I've said it in other classes. Whatever life presents us with, the good, the bland, the brash, or the ugly. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We have to welcome it as an opportunity for building our skill set. It's an invitation for building our skill set. And we need that skill set for awakening. It doesn't happen during our silken times. It happens when things are turbulent. It happens when life does not meet our preferences. That's when we build the skill set for transcending suffering totally. Years, lifetimes of dedicated practice, meeting challenges upon challenges with the right attitude, we discover our strengths. We discover our magnificence. We learn and grow from the experience. That's what it's about. Not getting frustrated. Because, you see, frustration clouds thinking patterns. It is not the key that opens any door to greatness. It only incapacitates us. Frustration. Why? Wrong worldview. Best avoided. Feel it once in a while, okay. But as a recurring pattern, every time life does not meet your expectations, you're asking for disaster. Big disaster. So when we refuse tooth and nail, refuse to let go of a faulty worldview, our frustration morphs into anger, transmutes into anger. And where does anger take us? Narrows our focus, can't see the wider picture. Clouds the thinking. Impairs our choice-making faculty. And we make matters even worse for ourselves with anger. Once in a while, it's okay. As a recurring pattern, it's devastating. Are you understanding, please? Narrows the focus, clouds our thinking, impairs our choice-making faculty. What happens next? We make matters even worse for ourselves. And the difficulty stays glued. We haven't shifted it with the anger. It stays glued right there. And so we lose our resolve to do anything about it. Yes, lose our resolve. And so we just accept our fate and slip into the third link, despair, frustration morphs into anger. Anger morphs to despair. And where does this despair take us? Makes us feel helpless, victimized, and obviously self-pity. Me, poor me. Why me, Lord? Why not that neighbor? Yeah, self-pity. And so we moan and we groan and we complain and we criticize and Lord, Lord. Yeah. Despair. We give up. No resolve. We just give up. Live in despair land. Not skillful. It is far better for us to learn how to solve and dissolve these difficulties, not to fear them, not to feel anxious about them, not to resent them. It's a way of life. It's life. Challenges coming. You can't vote them out of existence. We need that firm resolve to dissolve the challenges with the same enthusiasm, the same passion that an inventor has. Someone who's a scientist or an inventor, someone who's passionate about finding the solution to what they're set out to achieve, regardless of the obstacles. Yeah, the discovery of new ways of achieving what they want to achieve, the same passions, the same drive, the same curiosity has to take place. How must there be? How to do it? Well, my darling, are you aware, my sweetheart, that we are also gifted with this amazing resource? Like we're gifted with all these perfections inside of us. They're there. They're there. We just need to bring them out. We just need to bring them out by letting go of the garbage in our mind. So there's another resource right there, sweetheart. You have to cultivate. It ain't going to just happen. You have to bring it out. What resource must there be? Being flexible, being creative, flexible, not fixed views. We have it. You had it when you were a kid. Think of the creative things you did when as a little kid. Then you forgot about it. Rat race. Yeah. Box thinking. If we are patient, without flexibility and creativity, it's impossible for us to find a solution to our difficulties. Impossible. We need to be flexible. We need to see things from new perspectives. If we can't go above, we go under. If we can't go under, we go around. But there's a solution to every difficulty. We just have to find it. Let's take a look at Edison. Brother Tom. Edison. How many attempts did he make before he discovered the light bulb? Some say he didn't. Who cares? Right. 2 efforts, 5 efforts, 12? No, thousands. When asked, how do you feel about all those failures before you invented the light bulb? You know the famous saying, I'm sure. Failures? Those were not failures. I found 2,000 ways how not to make a light bulb. Those were not failures. Those were stepping stones to where I needed to be. Brilliant way of looking at things. Brilliant. The rule of life: to achieve anything of significance is a slow process. It is an unpredictable process, and it is never a linear process. You have to make this mistake. This will take you there. That'll take you there. That'll take you there. That's how you do it. Think of the Wright brothers. Yeah? Those fellows, those simple bicycle mechanics. No college degrees. And yet, their name has gone down in history as being the inventors of the first powered aircraft. Bicycle mechanics. How did they do it? On their first attempt? On their 20th attempt? They kept tinkering. That curiosity and that drive to find a solution to an unwanted difficulty which refuses to budge. It refused to budge for Edison for thousands of experiments before he found what he wanted. It refused to budge for the Wright brothers. Who knows how many attempts they went through before they got that skill set. For the first powered aircraft, be like those people. You have it in you. The wisdom of the universe is in you, but it is fast asleep because of faulty worldview. It's a firewall against your wisdom. Purge, let go. Faulty worldview not serving you, so sorry. Are you understanding? Okay. For as long as we cling to a faulty worldview, we will be engulfed in a negative chain reaction consisting of frustration, anger, and despair. Every time life sends us a challenge that refuses to budge. But this is not the option available. We have a better option. Tap into your creativity. Tap into your passion to discover the power of the cosmos that is in you and unleash it. It requires patience. My dear virtual friends, let's go on to the next point. There are many in this world, far too many, who want things fast and they want things easy. Now, I want it now. I want to press the button and I want it now. Yes. Love. They want it now. Attention. money, approval, success. Now, easy. I don't want to make effort. I want wishful thinking to make it happen, Master P. So sorry, no can do, no can do. Yeah, there are lots in the world. Misguided human beings, faulty worldview, they want things fast and easy. The best things in life, they want them to be quickly coming. And if that's not enough suffering, they also have an endless stream of desires that cannot be met. Faulty desires. I want to quench my thirst with salt water. Master B. No, darling. You need fresh water, not salt water. When we cling to this faulty way of living, when we make choices that are devoid of wisdom, it often leads to fatal outcomes. Fatal, terrible outcomes. It's best not to push things outside of their season. It's not to go against, it's not good to go against natural laws and principles unless we really relish misery. Let me give you some examples. I had a cousin in Mumbai. He's no longer on the planet, poor fellow. Left younger than me. He's now in heaven, Hawaii, surfing the waves. Sweet fellow, but not really well. His hard-earned money, he wanted fast growth. Yeah, fast growth. He invested it in a fellow who convinced him, hey, I have this scheme. Give me your money and I will frapple it for you. Not double it, not triple it, frapple it. Yeah? You'll be a rich man. Give me this money. I'll invest in this scheme and we will both be rocking. The guy, in a couple of years, declared bankruptcy. Money down the drain. Huge shock to his system. All that hard savings, the future that he was hoping to experience, vanished like this. Bankrupt. Sorry, I can't do anything. Gone. Who knows if he was telling the truth or if he was lying? But you don't invest in these kind of schemes without really having a proper background check of the person. Best not to even go into those schemes. Think of people who gamble. They want quick money. No foundation, quick money. End up homeless on the streets. Then there are those, especially in the entertainment industry, musicians, for instance. Think of the many musicians who have made a name for themselves, legendary people, like Jimi Hendrix, for instance, legendary guitarist. What made him legendary? What created that skill? Drugs. Drugs. cocaine running around the brain. Eric Clapton. You take a shortcut to those dimensions of yourself that are spiritually inclined. You open the doors to that power prematurely without the right foundation. Yes, you will unleash that legendary skill, but you will also unleash a premature rebirth. That's the fatal attraction we need to stay away from. Wanting things fast and easy. It can be fatal. Fatal. Yeah? Not skillful. Now, give me an example of wanting something from life, wanting life to give you what it cannot, what it will not, because it cannot. Please give me one example. When you pray, my Lord, please, I want to be happy. I want a great relationship. Yeah, some money, a zebra in the backyard, whatever. Yeah. When we desire the best things in life without investing sufficient time, energy, attention, and sometimes even money to acquiring the right skill set before it can happen, life will say, no can do. I want to be a doctor. I really want to be a doctor. But I'm not going to go to medical school. I'm going to be a doctor. Yeah, I have a kitchen knife. I can do operation with that. No, not good. I want to be Olympic athlete. But I prefer my bag of chips and my Netflix. I will not go for training. No can do. Are you understanding? We want the fruits without the roots. No roots, no fruits. We have to build the skill set before achieving anything of significance in the world. Asking life to give us what it cannot is an invitation for depression and misery. Not skillful. In all situations, please understand, in all situations, individual, social, global, the root problem is not life itself. It's not life that's difficult. The root problem is not life. So what is the root problem? It's our totally unskillful relationship with it. It's not that life is difficult. It's that we are being difficult with life by wanting from it what it cannot give us. Yeah. In all situations, individual, social, or global, it's not life itself that's the problem. The root problem is we are totally unwise. It's our faulty worldview that puts us in the rat race, looking for happiness where it cannot be found. That's the problem. Once again, where does our failure to gain mastery over our life and circumstances come from? Where does our failure to gain mastery over our life and circumstances come from? Not from our inability. It does not come from our inability to act in a creative and empowering manner to find the solutions to whatever ails us. That's not where the problem is, not in our inability. So where is the problem? The problem is in our staunch, stubborn refusal to act in a timely and skillful fashion upon what we learn through the practice. That's the problem. So many people come to my classes, so many. And it is so few that actually practice what they learn. And then they wonder why they suffer. Crazy. There was this incredibly supersonic Zen master. He had thousands of students, thousands. And to accommodate those students, he had built this huge monastery. And because of his clarity and awakening, he was famous throughout the land. And the emperor, Japanese, came to visit him. And they were standing on a hill, looking down at the monastery, and all the students running around. And the emperor asked him, "So, tell me, how many students you have?" And this fellow eyeballed him and said, "Just about 5. 5? There's thousands of people down there and you're saying 5? Those guys you're seeing running around, they're wannabes. Wannabes. They're there for all the wrong reasons, pretending to want to wake up, but their agenda is elsewhere. They're wannabes. I only have 5 dedicated students who really practice the Dhamma. Same with me, same with pretty much every other teacher. So many people come to the classes. It's not their inability to transcend their difficulties that stops them. It's their staunch refusal to practice the practice that is the problem. Are you one of them? Just think. There are many in this world who have the means to live a fabulous life. They have the means. They're healthy, they're young, they're intelligent, they have the money, they have the resources. There are plenty in this world who have the means for living a fabulous life. But they have no meaning. They have no fabulous meaning to live for. That's the problem. And not having a fabulous meaning to live for, and not really seeing the value of awakening or whatever, they don't put the practice into practice. And they end up in the zombie forest. Yes, so many of them in the zombie forest. When that group is in the ditch, self image not in place. So we can talk all we want. We can talk all we want about the ideal conditions we would like to experience: great health, supersonic relationships, beautiful vocation, big bucks. Mustn't forget the big bucks. Mustn't forget the zebra in the backyard. We want all these ideal conditions. But at the end of the day, it means nothing. It means nothing if we're not investing our time, energy, attention, and even money towards making it happen. We want this. But here's where we're spending our time, energy, attention, and money. What does this tell you? No congruence, no integrity. At the end of the day, how we allocate our time, energy, attention, and money determines or clearly reflects how we measure our life, what really matters to us. At the end of the day, that's what's talking about it. How are you living your moments? How do you measure your life? Are you born on this planet as a human being to waste your life watching TV day in and day out? To be fiddling on your mobile? To be in the rat race, which is so exhausting and self-defeating? Is that the measure of your life? You've lost the plot, if that is the case. You've lost the plot. Please understand that repeated inaction towards what matters the most does not just lead to failure. It doesn't just cost us failure. It costs us a severely wasted life. Precious human rebirth. Stuck in the rat race, looking for a happiness where it cannot be found. Far-sighted? No, is close-sighted. Myopic focus. It's not our inability. It's our refusal to act upon what really matters. That is the root problem. We're not in tune. We're not honoring what we say we would like to achieve. And we all would like to achieve those ideal conditions: great health, beautiful relationships, contributing value to the world. But it's all humbug. If our actions are not in alignment with what we say we would desire, we're not congruent. We're asking life to give us what it cannot. Okay, little secret. My dad was an architect working for the Indian government. And he would go on tours to check the projects he was involved in, to see that everything was happening correctly. And when we were kids, he would take the family with him. Sometimes, not all the time. Sometimes he would go for a nice little vacation. And when he was talking to the contractor or whoever, mom and my siblings, we'd be in the car hanging out sometimes in some other place, in the guest house, but quite often in the car. We would be on the site where the workers were working, building these projects. And I used to be fascinated seeing this is in the 60s, 50s, 60s. Yeah. These guys, these laborers with these sledgehammers on top of these boulders, whacking away, and nothing would be happening. And I'd be watching. Whack, 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 whack. Nothing happening. But then suddenly splits in two. That huge boulder splits in two. And then they'd get on top of the half. Do the same thing. Break it down till it splits in two. Same spot. Tack, tack, tack. Was it that last blow that split it in two? Of course not. All those blows that went before it, each and every blow counted. That's patience. That's patience. That's determination. That's perseverance. Call it what you want. Yeah. We don't have to be perfect to practice the Dhamma. We just have to be patient. We just have to be committed, fully committed. Then the universe comes to our aid and lends us its power to create that second wind for designing that powered aircraft or the light bulb or the whatever. Are you understanding, please? The true measure of our life rests upon how successful we are in stepping out of the rat race that's not serving us. We need to get on that ship, that flagship called Enterprise, piloted by the wise, and get off the Titanic that's heading for the vast deep. Because once we are on that flagship called Enterprise, we will, as night follows the day, we will experience the exhilarating bliss of God's eternal presence guiding us, prospering us in ways we cannot even imagine. That's the true measure of our life. When we're in touch with the wisdom of the universe flowing through us, that's the true measure of our life. Not money, not pleasures, hollow victories. Wake up. Can. Open eyes, look. What is not serving you, let go. What is serving you, jump on board. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Please put the practice into practice. Stop asking life to give you what it cannot. Flow with it. Stay tuned. Keep on rocking.